Wednesday, August 6th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, very briefly and somewhat disorganizedly, we talk about Connecticon 2008.
Let's do this.
Well, it's Wednesday, the Wednesday before Otakon, which means I don't know how good our show will be tonight because we got to get on the road at like 8 in the morning.
I'm doing laundry as we speak.
I'm
packing things as we speak. I'm rearranging the computer as we speak.
I'm still putting together 2 of our panels.
And tomorrow morning, in the car we go to Be More.
Oh, and don't forget, we might have a 6th panel.
What?
We'll see about that.
Well, only 4 of the panels we're doing, so...
Yes, one of them will be there, but Katsunori will be doing most of it. I'll be up there in armor fighting for my honor.
That smelly armor? I feel bad for you.
And Scott will be in the background, far away from the fighting with a video camera to catalog my untimely demise.
Yeah, that'll be worth it, I guess.
Yeah, but, once again, welcome all you Connecticon listeners. I'm sure you're here for the con report that we promised yesterday. As you know, Geeknights is 4 nights a week, blah, blah, blah. And Wednesdays is anime, manga, and comics.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh.
Are we going to talk about anime, manga, or comics?
Not a lot. We're going to talk about an anime con because, as I said, we're going to Otakon tomorrow. Things are a little crazy.
So I don't know, before we actually get to it, I don't know. I mean, sure, we are going to do the Connecticon review tonight, but I really feel either it should have been split up into Tuesday, Wednesday, or more really, I think more just Tuesday, because Connecticon is an everything geek con. It's not just anime, manga, and comics. It's got web comics, but it's got a lot of gaming going on there, a lot. And, I feel like maybe even the Connecticon review should be on a Tuesday, or maybe we should move all convention-related things to Thursday, or I don't know.
See, what I'm thinking is anime cons we should talk about on Wednesdays. Gaming cons we should talk about on Tuesdays. Connecticon and things like that we should probably talk about on Thursdays.
Yeah, well, that's okay then, because you know what? We were supposed to do a Thursday episode this week. What do you say we put this episode up and just tomorrow?
Nah, we should put it up tonight because it's a Wednesday show.
Yeah, but I mean, it should be, we are supposed to do it Thursday this week and not a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, but we are recording it Wednesday because we have to leave Thursday, so whatever.
It'll be a Wednesday show because we said it would be, and we'll kind of rearrange all this business.
It's okay. We can do some post-hoc retcon later.
And also, just in case you're wondering, we're going to be out of town next week on our annual writers retreat, which is a code name for doing jack and shit.
And fuck and all.
But have no fear.
And you're and mom?
For the many previous years, we would have guest hosts of Geeknights. And this year, I totally dropped the ball and didn't follow up on any of that at all.
I mean, we had some volunteers.
We didn't really follow up.
Yeah, we went around, and some people agreed to it. Some people couldn't do it on time. Basically, we were too busy doing other shit, and we didn't do it, and we suck.
However, instead of not doing shows for a week, we're going to be in Wildwood, but we've got internet access. We've got a Marantz. We've got our microphones. We've got everything. We're going to do some Geeknights live at the beach.
We're going to try to do some Geeknights live at the beach.
I promise there will be at least one episode of Geeknights uploaded at some point next week.
That is very likely. More than one, I wouldn't bet on it.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
3 or 4.
No. 2 at most, people. That's what you're going to get, maybe.
Yeah, we might have Geeknights live at the beach. We might have Geeknights live in Atlantic City.
Also, here's something else, right? If you want to do a guest episode of Geeknights and you can record it and edit the whole MP3 and do the whole thing on your own and either email it to us or better yet, email us a link to a place we can download it, then we could actually go and pretty easily, if we just go to Internet Cafe, go and add it to the website. So,
all right, I'm going to say it right now. Not many of you are capable of doing that.
No, very few people. I mean, we're going to listen to it, and we're going to make a pretty quick judgment, like within a minute, of whether we deem it worthy.
You mean like all those people who came from Connecticon and have already turned us off?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, so we're unlike the normal format of Geeknights, because, we got to get this show on the road, as in go to Baltimore. So we're going to dispense with the usual news and kind of just get right into this Connecticon thing. But first, I do want to point out, last weekend, Connecticon, this weekend, Otakon. So August 8th, 9th, and 10th, we're going to be in Baltimore at Otakon doing a ton of live shows.
Too many, if there's such a thing.
So Friday, noon to 1, in Panel 1, Anime You Should See. This has been the standing room only, like, batshit crazy panel.
I
don't
don't know why, but I guess it works.
I know exactly
why.
why.
You do, it works, right? If you don't understand it, you don't like it, it's confusing, but...
We understand exactly. It's easy to get into anime. A lot of people got into anime. They don't know what to watch after they watch.
You know what I'm gonna do is after that panel, I'm gonna ask people like why they came to it and really see what they're thinking.
Well, we asked them last year, and more than half the crowd raised their hands at "I don't know what to watch now." And then, like, the other third was pretty much it was half of them were "I don't know what to watch," and the rest didn't. They were non-committal. Yeah. And, you know, it is kind of hard to figure out what to watch. I mean, how many good shows are there? Not just in anime, but in anything.
This is what I don't get. I mean, it's like these people, the only explanation I could think of is that these people don't talk to anyone and they don't go on the internet at all. And they don't even read...
Scott.
And they don't even read magazines.
Scott. What magazine tells you what anime is good?
It tells you at least something. It
No,
tells
it
you.
doesn't.
It might tell you wrong, but at least you'll listen to it and watch something bad.
No, and then they watch bad things, and everything they watch is bad, and then they stop watching anime.
I know, but
so what? What? Do they go on the internet? Where do you, unless you listen to Anime World Order or us or maybe Fast Karate, people are going to tell you to watch bad shows.
Probably.
There's really nowhere to get reliable recommendations for anime to watch except Geeknights, Anime World Order, and Fast Karate for the Gentlemen.
There had to be some.
I defy you.
There's got to be some blogs out there.
All right, there's one blog that's okay, that Basugasu. However, that blog reviews everything, and the reviews are usually kind of glowing. So.
I mean, these people really must live under a rock if you go, gee, I don't know what anime to watch at all. I mean,
but I think we just agreed
I know
that
too many. I know more anime to watch than I can watch.
No, anime that you know are good. I mean, basically, think of this. You just got into anime. Like, someone said, hey, watch this anime. You watch Akira, and it was awesome. And now, in a vacuum, you think, all right, I liked Akira. I like anime. What should I watch?
At the very least, I go to the Best Buy, I look at the shelf, and I pick something judging on the cover.
Wait.
And the title.
Wait, that's not going to get you very far.
Yeah, well.
No, it won't. Go to Best Buy. Anyway, I think I understand exactly why this panel is, because it is hard to find out what good anime is out there, because the industry is not conducive to people watching good anime anymore.
Well, that's for sure.
Wait. No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. The anime industry is not conducive to existing anymore.
No.
Anyway.
Burn.
Friday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. in Workshop 1, comics for the manga reader.
Yeah, this is a panel I came up with. I didn't plan it, but we could just wing it. We're at each convention we're doing, we're going to wing one panel, sort of. And the basic idea of this panel is that a lot of the people at Otakon are going to be people who like anime and people who like manga. Those are going to be, big interests for them. I mean, there are video game fans there. There are, all sorts of geeks there. But mostly, there's going to be anime and manga geekdom. Even more anime than manga, right? And all these manga readers, right, obviously enjoy comics because manga is comics and they enjoy manga. There's a manga library there. There'll be people in there reading manga. They paid all this money to read manga. They must like it. But these people don't tend to read American comics, or not even American, but non-Japanese comics.
I partly understand this.
From any publisher.
Because, one, you're not going to find a lot of those really good French comics anywhere accessible or you'll know what they are.
Yep.
And if you go looking for American comics, unless you know where to look, you're going to find mostly underwear perverts.
Yeah, I mean, you could pre-order with a crazy spreadsheet. Who's going to do that who isn't on the inside? You can go to a comic book store. Who's going to do that who doesn't have body odor and a giant gut?
Oh, that's real harsh.
I know.
No, it's more, you think, all right, you go to a comic store.
You go to Borders.
Well, no,
where you buy the manga.
The problem is you go to a comic store and it's mostly underwear perverts.
Yeah, you go to a Borders where all the manga is, and there is a shelf of, non-manga comics, and it's so disorganized and difficult to figure out what's what, and you don't even know what any things are, and they're all different shapes and sizes
I think more
and colors.
importantly, it's all underwear perverts.
Mostly. But, more and more, there's non-underwear perverts on there.
But not that much. Basically,
I would say about 25% at the average Borders will be non-underwear perverts of the shelf space.
That's not enough.
It's not enough at all, but 25% of the non-manga graphic novel shelf space will be not underwear perverts at the average Borders I've been to.
Yeah, the thing is, even so, a lot of it you can't tell unless you
don't even know what
it
is, or all looks different. You have no idea. So we're going to tell at this panel manga readers what non-manga comics they would probably like.
I'm going to spoil the panel right now. Batman The Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen, V for Vendetta, Scott Pilgrim, Runaways.
Anything by Brian K. Vaughan.
Yep.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think we're going to do a whole aside about
Will
Tezuka.
Eisner.
I think we're going to do an aside about, all right, there's also manga you should read that none of you probably have.
Maybe. We'll see.
I imagine that would...
I think the way we'll tie it in is we'll say, these are the great mangas. This one. We'll talk about that great manga. Like, if you like that great manga, then you will like these great non-manga. And then and then when we're done with that thread, we'll pick another great manga. And then continue.
But anyway, I don't want to get into this long discussion of all our panels.
No.
Friday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., panel 3, we're doing Know Your Creators, from Osamu Tezuka to Osamu Tezuka. I don't think we need to say much more about that. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah. We're going to tell people, pay attention to who the hell makes your anime and your manga. Because it's important. The end.
Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. in Workshop 2, we are doing Advance Wars, because Otakon was desperate for panels, and I happened to have suggested this as like a second string panel earlier in the year, and they basically came back before the con and said, yeah, could you run that? And I said, yeah, sure.
We didn't have a better suggestion they could have picked instead?
Well, we're already doing Know Your Creators, Comics for the Manga Reader, Anime You Should See, and...
We could have done Beyond D&D instead of Advance Wars.
That's so less related to anime.
I know.
However, I've been talking to them, and there is a tiny chance we might run Beyond D&D Saturday morning at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Because...
Best panel we came up with this year.
Basically, the gist of all this is come to the Geeknights tables in the Artist Alley. You will find us. We have 11 of them. And over there, we'll have our schedule posted on our table. And we might be doing extra panels all over the place, so make sure you stop by.
Yeah, we'll have a little stand-up schedule, and we'll have a little stand-up something else.
Yep. Scott only said that because he knows that I happen to have bought 2 table tripods.
Yep.
And of course, on Sunday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., Katsunori Matsushita will be talking about Kendo, the way of the sword. And all I can say is that Katsu runs one fucking Kendo panel.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that the one from last Otakon was to epic. The Katsukan one was mildly epic. It was a little smaller room. I think it hindered him a bit.
I think the small room is the only thing that held him back.
Yeah, but I think that the Otakon one, I see no reason why it wouldn't be as epic as the last one, especially since Katsu will be very excited to hit Rim with a stick, and Rim will be very unhappy. Not that he gets hit with a stick, which won't really hurt wearing armor. But
I will no longer be the undefeated honorable vice president of the
I think it's because you're going to have to be in the really smelly, sweaty armor.
No, that armor is real smelly.
It's full of BO anyway.
Yep. And, of course, Saturday from 1 to 2, the Apple Geeks panel and panel 2 with our good friends Hawk and Nanath.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
We'll probably be there, if
I think we have
else.
a panel at the same time, don't we?
Saturday from 1 to 2, we most definitely don't.
Okay, awesome.
I don't know where you got that.
There was something at the same time. I forget. Whatever.
There's nothing at the same time.
Go to the Apple Geeks panel. It's better than anything at the same time.
Also, make sure you come by our table because we're going to be scheduling other things throughout the con. For example, we have our tradition of going to the ultra-violent movie. I'm not going to talk about it because we have to decide which ones we're going to, but...
I want to go to that Bushido one, and I want to go to Machine Girl.
I think I only want to go to Machine Girl.
That's fine.
I don't want to go to the other ones so much, but basically, we will be scheduling things that we're going to go to. And if you're going to be at Otakon, check our schedule. And if you want to be where the awesome is, be where we're going to be.
Yeah, on our little schedule, we'll probably have events we're running, events our friends are running, and then events we are attending so that you know where we're going to be at.
Anyway, it is time for Things of the Day. I've got something real light, real quick. I just thought this was cute. It's a comic by Sarah Mensinga called Dragon Girl. And it's really short.
It's a little generic name there.
It is. It's a really simple, short comic. And it's just, 20 or so images accompanied by 20 or so paragraphs of text.
Wait, then that's not a comic. That's more of a light novel.
Light novel?
Yeah. Incredibly light novel.
I would call it a comic.
It's not a comic if the art isn't sequential.
The art is sequential.
All right.
It has a very long sequence.
We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, continue.
I don't see any reason why you wouldn't call this a comic. If nothing else, I'd call it a one-off webcomic.
Because it's an illustrated work of prose as opposed to a comic, which are two different things. There's a line at which you go from illustrated book to comic. There's a very distinct line there.
See, I don't make the distinction at all, and I couldn't care less.
There's a very, very important artistic distinction that we won't get into now. Continue.
Fine. It is a rough illustration and text. Good God, Scott.
I know. I didn't look at it. It might be a comic. I got to see.
It's a really cute little story about a king and a little girl who is kidnapped by dragons.
Does the king have an awesome beard?
Actually, he does.
I'm totally reading it.
He does.
Is the king awesome?
No, not really.
Oh.
Basically, all I'm gonna say is it's cute, and I really like the ending, even though it's a little cliche. I thought it was cute.
All right. That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. I'm not sure, but I have... basically, this is a really quick thing of the day. What fleshes it out is I have suspicions. All it is, the video is pretty simple. Some people at a Tokyo convention center are on an escalator. So many people are on the escalator goes in reverse, and they all fall off. Now...
That's it?
No.
That's funny, but...
It is pretty funny. But here's the thing. I have suspicions. Number one.
It was done on purpose?
No, it could have been not the weight of the people, but there were a lot of people on there, but someone flicking the switch. It's possible. Another thing. All the people on there are nerdy-looking dudes.
You're thinking it was that, like, Comic-Con or
I'm thinking
something?
this is a Comic-Con situation. That's my suspicion. So, someone watch this video and then confirm or deny. Okay? That's all I gotta say. And, watching people fall off an escalator. Escalator. It's an escalator.
Yeah, not too many people fall out of elevators.
No, it's pretty funny.
However,
because
it really sucks when you do.
The thing keeps coming down and the people keep spilling off of it. Cause it's like spill. It just doesn't stop. It's pretty good.
I have a little bit more trouble laughing at own videos when it's not the person getting owned's fault.
Yeah. But they're not owned too badly. It's pretty much... Ooh, I burped there.
That was fantastic.
I know. It's pretty much just like...
Geeknights, we're all about professionalism.
It's pretty much just fall off, get up, fall off, get up, fall off, get up, lots of screaming. No one's really getting owned. No one's really getting owned here. It's just sort of like, oh noes. All right.
Okay, so I don't know how long we'll spend on this, but we're going to give you at least a brief overview/con report of Connecticon 2008, which we were at.
Alrighty. You want to do chronological? What do you want to do?
Let's just do this chronologically.
All right, so we went there late-ish Friday? No.
Well, originally, I was going to take work off. I ended up not, and all this business. We ended up getting in, late on Friday, and Friday night, the con was basically dead.
Yeah, I mean, we got there. There was nothing happening. I couldn't tell if there were any events. We discovered they had a new layout for the con. Everything was really sparse. There weren't a lot of people. There wasn't anything happening. It was very bad, basically. That's the only word I can come up with. I tried to think of a nicer word, but I couldn't.
Well, it was just, we show up and things kind of came together. We got our badges. We dealt with all that. But it was just, there was really no one around. There wasn't any energy. Like, there was a very small crowd of people kind of very morbidly and slowly and quietly and grumblily wandering about, and that was it.
Yeah, it was very blah, and I wasn't getting a good feeling. I had a pretty pessimistic view. We were there for maybe 15 minutes on Friday, and I was looking not forward to the Saturday and the Sunday. I was like, uh-oh, this is going to be real bad. It's going to be no good. I can tell already. I got bad vibes all over the place. No good.
Yeah, so basically, we just decided to go to our hotel, we're not here, and we left, because we weren't actually supposed to show up till Saturday anyway.
Yeah, we didn't really do anything Friday. We basically walked around real quick, said hi to people, got badges, didn't do so much.
Well, we went to the hotel room, we watched some Ava.
All right, we watched Ava up from my iPhone to the TV. Pretty cool.
And then I played a bunch of Civ 4, and we went to bed.
Here's a tip for people. If you want to connect something to your hotel television, it's all fancy, but the input button on the side, because they always give you a weird remote, and the weird remote doesn't give you the input buttons, right? But there's an input button on the side of the television that doesn't seem to be working. Disconnect the telephone cord from the television, and now the input button will suddenly work, because it's no longer talking to the hotel system. And then when you're done, plug the phone cord back in and no one will say anything.
Be wary. At some hotels, that sets off an alarm.
At some hotels...
An alarm that you will not be able to turn off.
An alarm that says someone is stealing the television. However, at the hotel we were at, it didn't do that. So it was all good.
Either that or no one was watching that alarm.
Which is fine,
But my one warning is that alarm is not always silent.
Yeah, that's also true. Usually, though, a lot of times the alarm cord is a little different from the other ones. It's a little more, physically secured more thoroughly. Like have a big metal lock on it of some kind. Anyway.
Why would you do that? Because as soon as it gets broken, the alarm goes off, and then you send someone up to the room. They can't get a TV out that quick.
Well, the idea is that, we slow them down in getting the TV out. They lock not only that cable, but the other one. So it's like if they break the alarm cable, anyway, forget it. Talk about Connecticon.
Okay. Because I don't think you've seen these things so much before and what they look like. Anyway.
I've seen them plenty. I've been in a lot of hotels.
Have you now, Mr. Hotel Big Shot?
Yes. No, I've never been to hotels before.
Scott, now. Except for Connecticon.
Right.
Right. So Saturday morning, we wake up early because we have the anime match game scheduled for 2 hours on Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Now, the only concern I had was that we had not yet met the people at the convention who were responsible for us being there. We had figured out we had the match game because we got a schedule, went through it looking for names of events that we had submitted and assuming that they were ours.
Yeah, last year when we arrived at Connecticon, they had badges for us, right? Well, they had to make one for me, but they had them. And they had our names on a list to prove that we were actual guests. They checked us out to make sure we were guests. And then they had pre-printed itineraries telling us what to do. That was pretty cool. This year, we walked in and we said, "Hey, we're Geeknights."
Basically,
and we had to make our own badges.
Well, the thing is, what happened was we walk in and we're like, "All right, hey, we're Geeknights badges." And the funny thing is, I see Katsu's badge on the top of the stack.
Yep.
And it's like, why does Katsu have a badge, but the person who got him a badge doesn't have a badge? Luckily, we didn't even have to argue or anything because the con chair recognized us because we're at every freaking major con on the East Coast.
Was it the con chair or was it someone else?
That was the con chair.
All right.
So he's like, "Oh yeah, you guys." He recognized me actually and not Scott at first.
Alrighty.
And then he's like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And basically the con chair asked us where the panels person was, to which we said,
Great.
So, Saturday morning we go to our match game and we're getting ready to go, and then we're thinking, all right, are convention guests going to show up so we can run this? Or not. And luckily,
last year they didn't tell us whether or not we actually had guests, and we couldn't get a confirmation all day. But when we showed up to the panel, guests appeared miraculously.
Awesome guests. That was actually a really good match game.
The thing that really got me worried about this year was not just that they didn't tell us guests were coming or not, but because it was 8 a.m., guests don't like to wake up at 8 a.m. And two, if I looked at the convention book, there wasn't really people who were good guests for anime match games. So I was like, even if they sent guests, who are they going to send?
They were awesome guests. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm actually a fan of some of these people, but they are not going to be able to deal with the... Well, you know what? They probably could have dealt with our anime match game just fine because after we had Peter Fernandez on and we kind of rewrote everything, we have two sets of questions. The everyone is a hardcore anime fan, let's go set, and the people kind of know anime, let's have generic match game questions with an anime theme.
I definitely think that the only way that the people kind of know anime match game works is if the people on the panel have enough star power. If they weren't big star, amazing people, then you really can only get by with the very knowledgeable match game, or else it won't be entertaining.
So there Scott and I are, sitting in a room, basically alone, and no one's in the panel. So we're like, all right.
Well,
awesome.
It was 8 a.m. People trickled into the con, and people actually trickled into the room.
Yeah, but I'm saying at first no one was there, and we're like, awesome. This is going to be awesome. People trickle in bit by bit. So we basically just start talking to each other on stage and kind of talking to the audience, a lot like Geeknights, actually. And we kind of just did Geeknights for about 20 minutes or so.
Yep.
And the crowd kept growing and growing. And the thing is, no one left. In fact, people kept coming in to see what was going on and sitting down. The crowd's growing and growing. We did an abbreviated version of Know Your Creators because we weren't running it at the con.
And we didn't have the index cards because we weren't running it at the con. Actually, I thought we were running it at the con, and I forgot the index cards, but it didn't matter because we weren't running it at the con.
Yes. So, we do that, and everyone loved it. And then eventually there was a pretty large crowd in the room, and they're all being entertained. So we stopped and said, wait a minute. You guys want us to just run the match game for you guys? And the crowd was like, oh my God. And there are actually some people in the audience from last year who showed up only because they remembered how absolutely badass the match game was last year.
Yep, and the girl who bothered us all year and wanted a prize was actually not annoying. She's just like, I want my prize. I'm like, okay, I brought some prizes. Here, take them.
Yep, sadly, the t-shirts that we were also going to give her are arriving Friday morning at Otakon.
Great.
So I'm going to mail her one as soon as we get back before PAX.
Okay.
So if you're listening, yes, you're going to get your t-shirt, and yes, it's awesome.
Alrighty.
But, so this actually this went really well. We got Uncle Yo up, and I got to say, Uncle Yo has gotten better and better at the anime comedy. Like every time I see him, he's funnier on stage. And
no, he's trying real hard. I mean, you got to give the guy some credit. He tries. He's putting everything he's got into that, and he's improving himself, which is what you got to do. I mean,
well, one thing: listen to the first few episodes of Geeknights. Say no more. But I got to say this: as a match game guest, he was hilarious. I kind of want him. I always want him to be my ringer if we don't have enough guests. That was great.
Yep. And the other thing is, what I did is when we were trying to select people for the game, I actually sort of quizzed the audience to get, people who actually knew about anime. I was like, who knows what Erotsuka Doji is? And one guy said Legend of the Overfeed. And I said, who knows what a, Itano Circus is? And one guy knew. And I was like, yes.
And the best part is we figure with these game shows, people might lie or something. So first we're like, all right, if you lie and get yourself up here, you're only going to make a fool out of yourself. So
yeah, but
prepared.
I asked questions and I made sure that people answered them. So there's no way that they were lying. It was it was trivia, and it was hard anime trivia. And I was very surprised that people in the audience actually knew. Like, I'm surprised I got one person. It was pretty good. And
yeah,
they were great. They were great panelists.
And it was funny because one of them, I was like, who has seen Gundam? And everyone raised their hand. And I was like, 0080. And all the hands but two went down.
Yep.
But, we get these people up. And running this match game, just kind of winging it, it was real fun. Like, everyone had a super good time. And people kept coming in to the point that just as the panel was ending, the room was half full.
Yeah.
But
not super full like it was last year, but that was because of the guests.
But here's the deal. This started a trend that kind of surprised me. We're at Connecticon, right? Which is not an anime con. It is a geek, webcomic, gaming anime con. Like, all these rolled into one. It's very...
In fact, I'd say there's more webcomics and gaming than anime. I mean, what anime stuff was happening
Connecticon has better gaming than most gaming conventions. I've said that before. I'll say it till I die.
Yep.
Good God, is the tabletop gaming at Connecticon fantastic.
Well, it's just because they have enough tables. I mean, UberCon didn't have enough tables in that hotel in Jersey.
The only thing they're lacking is Luke Crane, and I'm going to do everything within my power to get him
He is going to PAX, right?
Yes. Well, I'll get to that.
100%?
Yes.
All right.
In fact, I've worked out to where he's going to be ready, hopefully. I mean, we got to, unless something comes up, to run a Burning Wheel, The Sword, or something demo immediately following our Beyond Dungeons and Dragons panel.
Awesome. Is he going to be on our panel, though?
I'm not sure. I think he might be in the audience. My plan would be he could be in the audience. We do the panel because I think he'd really like.
Oh,
the panel.
and then we praise him during the panel, and he'll just
because I'd love to see him in person, like sitting there in an audience where he is called by two strangers a rock star.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that, and then I'd love to be like, ladies and gentlemen, you're a rock star.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But this trend that at every panel we ran, and I'm saying every single panel at Connecticon, there were more hardcore, knowledgeable, awesome anime fans here than at any anime con we've ever been to that we did panels at. We at Katsucon were like, how many of you have seen Cowboy Bebop? And out of 120 people, like a third of them raised their hands.
It was pretty shameful. I was like, oh my, I was in pain.
We were here, right, at this panel. I'm like, here's some anime you should see. We're just talking in the beginning. I'm like, Millennium Actress, blah. I start naming Satoshi Kon stuff, and someone's like, yeah, Satoshi Kon. And I'm like, wait, how many of you have seen all of Satoshi Kon's movies? And like everyone raised their hand.
And there's the one girl in like the back left corner who had seen every anime in the known universe.
Oh God,
she was a little excited, but
it was great because
she wasn't lying.
At the very end, at Anime You Should See, which we did later, we're like, oh, real quick, and we're rattling off like obscure good anime, or at least anime that you should probably watch. And as soon as we started to say JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, she ran up and showed us the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure PVC that she had just bought.
Yeah, great.
But yes, every single panel we ran had hardcore, amazingly knowledgeable anime fans. Yeah. That was the hardest core match game we've ever run outside of the RIT Anime Club.
Yeah. And by announcing what panel, I mean, at every panel, we said, these are the panels we're doing later. These are the panels we're doing later. And it worked. We saw the same people come to all these panels one after the other because they enjoyed our earlier panels so much. I couldn't believe, it's never worked before, but it totally worked 100%.
I don't want to sound like we're full of ourselves, but we were basically rock stars by the end of the con.
I know, it was really weird. The Connecticon, size-wise, smaller than a lot of other cons we'd go to. Smaller than Otakon, smaller than Katsucon by a lot, right?
I think it's actually now, with our new no small cons policy, the smallest convention we attend.
Yeah, but you know what? for some reason, we had such a stronger and bigger connection with the fan base at Connecticon than we had at any con ever.
Yeah, and it was really cool. Like, the audiences were really into it, and they seemed to really enjoy it. And it seems like audience members are going around. Like, I saw people in the halls telling other people to go to the rest of our panels, and they did. But, like, you know,
like every hallway I walked down, every room I went into, there were people that I had seen earlier in the day. There were people that I knew, on some level. There were people, I saw them one day, and then I played a game with them the next day, and I'm like, I remember you.
In fact, out of all this, there was a bunch of cool geeks we ended up playing a long game of Power Grid with on Sunday, and a bunch of them played in, like, the Burning Wheel stuff. And these people are cool enough to where they're probably going to be joining one of our Burning Wheel games, like, here in our real lives.
Yeah, I mean, I played the sword. I ran the sword for some people on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, we played this incredibly long game of Power Grid. And one of the dudes who was in my sword was in the Power Grid. I was like, I remember you.
Yeah. So basically, every panel we did. So the next panel, later in the day, and pretty much, if you didn't get it at this point, Friday was dead. Saturday was rocking in a big way.
Oh, super rockin'.
Yeah, so we do...
I mean, I don't know about the con itself, but as far as we were concerned, the con was rockin', which is all I care about, because that's what we promise. We say, if we go to a con, no matter how much the con sucks, we will rock, and we fulfilled.
Well, we'll get to that, because actually there were very few real complaints about the con, as far as the con feedback session was concerned.
Yeah.
But anyway, so next we did Anime You Should See, and the fun thing was, that panel probably needed to be in main events, because there was a line like 20 minutes before filling the hallway.
I know if it needs to be in main events, but it could have definitely been in panel 1, easily.
The room was filled to the point that every single seat was taken. Every possible space on the floor was filled. There were people standing up, like, against all of the walls. There were people standing in the doorway. The door was open. People were, like, standing in the hallway with their heads in. And there was a crowd outside being turned away for fire code round.
You know what I'm thinking we got to do? Here's what I think with Anime You Should See, right?
Run it twice and be...
No, at Otakon and Katsukon and cons that have a more this general public audience, do the anime that everyone should see. At Connecticon, where obviously more people know what anime to see, all we do is bring up, these are obscure anime you should see.
We should do it.
You don't know.
You know what? We should really, for Connecticon, because there are two audiences, we do two panels. And I don't know what to call them. One is the anime everyone should see that, all the, like, super big names that people might just not know about. Ava Esk, Bebop, all those things. Then we do the other panel that is all the, like, Chaos Century Beast, Dominion Tank Police, all that stuff.
People know Tank Police. Tank Police!
Well, people at Connecticon know Tank Police.
That's right.
God. At the match game, someone started singing it as soon as someone said Dominion Tank Police.
And that, I'm going to skip ahead to the con feedback session, but, the guy who ran the panels and the events at Connecticon was sort of thrown into it at the last minute.
Yes, there were a lot of problems with panels at Connecticon, but... they really weren't the guy in charge of its fault, because it was one of those, shit, the con's fucked, you, fix it. And he said, crap, okay.
And he did as good a job as can be reasonably expected from someone in that position. And I could tell from listening to him at the feedback session, which he had to handle on his own, right? Where last year at Connecticon, the feedback session was handled by the entire head staff. So, and he handled it real well, and I could tell that he was the right person for the job, and he knew his shit.
Yeah, pretty much. We're going to be joining the staff along with him next year to handle panels and all that. So Connecticon's going to be awesome.
But what he
year.
said at the feedback panel, which is something I think is very true for Connecticon, is that even though Connecticon is understaffed, they know that, right? Connecticon has its problems and logistics. We know that. There's all these things. The people, the members, the people who come to Connecticon are really the people who make it happen. And it's totally true. You look around the con, it's not, the staff aren't going around making big magic like happens at, say, Katsukon, where they make huge magic. There aren't, there are big guests, but there aren't tons and tons of huge guests and amazing, there's no industry presence at all, right? But awesome things are happening, and it's all the people who came to the con making it awesome for each other.
Especially the thing that's so crazy about Connecticon. I think I talked about this last year, but it always amazes me. Every other con I go to, Otakon, Katsukon, even when I was staff at Animazement and, all these, there were always, like, you needed crowd control everywhere. And you needed people, like, constantly keeping everyone in line and keeping everything organized. Basically, unless there was, like, something going on, like an event, you would really never see a Connecticon staffer, and yet there were practically zero problems. There were you didn't need people walking around yelling at people to move and get out of the way. Crowd control was it really amazes me that nothing goes crazy at Connecticon for how little security there is.
Yeah.
And that says a lot about the people who go to Connecticon.
They need a little help, say seating for the masquerade and stuff like that, according to the feedback panel, which I'll believe. But you know what? As bad, even though those things might not have been 100% smooth, they weren't completely disastrous. They worked. They were, okay. It wasn't the end of the world.
Yeah. But anime you should see. That was crazy.
Yeah, we didn't even say much. I don't even remember what I said during that battle.
And then, we did the, I'll skip a bit because I really got to start packing for Otakon.
Yeah, I'm still doing laundry here.
But, then we did our how to run an anime club, which, what do we say? We know how to run an anime club, perfectly. We ran the biggest anime club in the country for a while, and this panel is always super good, and the people there, they listen intently, they ask intelligent questions, we give them the right answers, and it's a fun panel to do.
I was kind of hoping we would get one of those questions like, I'm a trucker, I want to run an anime club. But
man, that was so awesome.
That guy, he wasn't there, so.
I know. Yeah. But then
I'm always looking for that guy dressed up as the guy from Ranma who runs. What's his name?
Yeah. Oh, Ryoga. I thought you were saying the name of the trucker guy.
No, the trucker was dressed as Ryoga.
Yeah, I know, but I don't remember the trucker's name.
No, I don't remember the trucker's name either.
I find a trucker named Ryoga hilarious.
Connecticon Trucker Ryoga, if you listen to this, email us. Geeknights@frontrecruit.com.
Yes. So then we had our headlining panel, Beyond Dungeons & Dragons, the event that we were running at the Penny Arcade Expo, which...
The only event we're running at the Penny Arcade Expo.
Also, the one thing is...
On the schedule.
Most events we run at conventions are kind of like the show. They're organized and they're good, but they're kind of this back and forth. They're kind of ad hoc. They're usually, they're really entertaining, but they're... Beyond Dungeons & Dragons is one of those rare ones, kind of like the Gekiga panel we ran before, where... we presented more like a serious lecture, and it's a really we actually put together a polished sort of we model them as best we can after the TED Talks, which isn't saying much because we can't really aspire to that level yet.
No, we're not, that awesome. We can't even go to TED, let alone speak at it.
Yes, but
you gotta be good enough to go before you're good enough to talk.
But this was more like a lecture than a panel. And the only thing I want to say is that when we arrived to do this panel, and I saw that line going all the way down the freaking hallway for us, and as we walked up, people were going, oh my God, it's them. Oh man, this is going to be awesome. That really meant a lot to me.
Yeah, it was all right.
Well, I get a much bigger hard-on for attention than you.
Yeah, I was just like, what's up, peoples? Let's go. It's sort of like, I guess there's one thing is people sometimes when they have fans look at their fans like, oh man, these people like me, oh man. But it's like, I look at fans more as like a posse. It's like, what's up guys? Let's go rock the house. It's not like, oh yeah, these people love me. Oh my God, I'm super famous. And oh my God, it's like, what's up dudes? Let's rock.
But that panel was kind of awesome. And then of course, Sunday, we got to watch a lot of people playing Burning Wheel.
People were playing Burning Wheel all day Saturday. Alex, he ran the sword, I think, 5 or 6 times.
He ran it until he was sick of it.
He didn't run the Lacuna, but yeah, he was complaining, that he did running the sword and not changing the scenario was getting a little boring to him, and I could see that, but he kept on doing it. He was basically selling a game that was someone else's game. It's like if Rim wrote a book and I went around selling copies of it on my own time. And he was doing it awesomely, and he never had the same person play twice, and he had at least 3 people in every game. So he introduced 20 to 30 people to Burning Wheel, and they all had an awesome time. I ran the sword once, and that was a little bit rough. He ran it how many times?
And one funny thing I noticed is that when we were doing this panel too, it was just a lecture. Anime cons, people always try to say stuff to you, or they raise their hand because they want to interject something. And there were a lot of the people in the audience were very clearly hardcore Dungeons and Dragons fans. And when we first started, I saw a lot of people raise their hands when we started talking about D&D, and they're like, hey, don't. And after another 5 or 10 minutes, they all put their hands down. I think by the end, we converted almost everyone in that room.
Yeah, I know. I was expecting there to be outcries of people saying, "Oh, D&D doesn't suck," and we weren't really saying that D&D sucked. We were saying that D&D only plays this one kind of game, which is crawl in the dungeon, fight the monster, which is true. And I was expecting, the typical fanboy outcry, but I think the way we presented ourselves really sent a clear message of, This is us talking and you listening time. There is no talking during this panel. And the questions at the end, there were, I allowed time for like 3 quick questions or so, and none of them really confronted us in a negative way.
Even better,
and
dudes.
Everyone was smiling and laughing and cheering and excited.
Well, I think part of that was that picture of the train.
That picture of the train works real well.
That picture is just one of my favorite pictures anyway.
It's a good picture.
It's one of those pictures where if there's a crowd of people, you just have to show it to them and they'll start laughing.
Yeah, but I mean, putting it in context just doubles the power. Dost thou love me?
But thou must.
But thou must.
That's one thing. As much of a hardcore anime loving base there was at Connecticon, only 2 or 3 people in the audience got that joke until we explained it.
Yeah, well, that's a Dragon Warrior joke.
Dragon Warrior 1. And you had to get...
Dragon Quest.
Yeah, you had to get
We're talking about slimes and drakies. That's something else, right? Dragon Quest, right? They have rocket slime. The drakey gets no love. The drakey is far superior to the slime. Where the fuck is it? There's no drakey game. What the hell? I want drakies.
Sure it's not Drake?
I'm pretty sure. It's drakey. D-R-A-K-Y. At least in the translation. Anyway.
I believe, anyway.
They're so cute, they have to have a Y at the end of their name.
They got that big old smile. I always felt bad about killing monsters in that game.
Well, not until later when they're horrible and disgusting, but early on, it's slimes and drakies. Yay!
And of course, we spent the rest of the con just hanging out with awesome people. We met a ton of you. Everyone we talked to at this con was awesome.
Yeah, there were I usually at a con, I always expect, annoying fanboys to talk to me like, hey, Scott, I love your anniversary. Oh my God, Geeknights everywhere. And there weren't any. No smelly fan. They're probably there, but they did not approach me. They did not bother me. I did not notice them. It was a very non-fanboy con. There was a lot of BO. In fact, I'd say there was more BO than I've smelled ever, but there was no fanboys.
Yeah, we're going to wrap this up short. This wasn't the most organized show or whatever.
That's fine.
We're going to Otakon. So for all of you who might tune into this episode, either because you saw us at Connecticon, or you got back to Geeknights sometime between Otakon and when we record a show after Otakon, we're going to get back in the swing of things pretty much after PAX.
All right, so wait, just real quick. Do we want to schedule an official meetup place and time at Otakon?
Come to our Artist Alley table. There will be one scheduled.
So we'll just put it on the paper there?
Yes.
Good idea. Okay, and I just wanted to let people know, if you have an iPhones or iTouch, you should probably get a Twitter account and install the Twinkle app, and then everyone at Otakon can tweet.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it, as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.